Okay. Hello, I'm Rocky Phelps from North PIO office, and today we were wanting to show you how to upload a video and use 3Play in order to get your video captioned. And we're going to show you that today. So, Coral.
Hello, everybody.
So you're going to come into 3Play and log in with your Seattle College's email and the password that is specific to your 3Play account. And once you get in, it will automatically bring you to My Files. But in the instance that you're trying to order captioning and a transcript for your video, you're going to click on Order Services.
Then you would choose your main service. And in general, we recommend doing the transcription and captioning. So if you could click that, that brings up some other options. The other one there, alignment, has to do, if you already have a transcript, you can put up a video and have them connect the transcript that you already have. But in general, we will be coming in without having gotten the transcript yet. So that's why we generally choose transcription and captioning. So it also tells you what language we're going to be in, and our account is strictly English at this point. There is an option in the future for possibly some other languages, but right now we're doing English. And the next critical piece is what the turnaround level is going to be, and that means how fast are you going to get your video back. A standard turnaround without any extra charge. And oh, I should mention that the place where it tells you the charge is right there beside the English, where it says the language spoken in your files is, and it actually tells you it's $1.95 a minute. It's not very big, but it certainly matters. So, and the standard rate, and today is the 22nd of October, and it tells us on the standard delivery, we would get it back in 6 days on the 28th of October without paying anything extra. So in general, we have kind of concluded that it makes sense to choose the expedited service to get it a couple of days earlier. And of course, that's negotiable. If your particular job needs to have a much quicker turnaround, you can pay more money and get it more quickly. But in general, we have kind of concluded that for standard practice, we would always check expedited, which adds 50 cents per minute to the video. So we kind of concluded that was a reasonable amount to pay extra.
Yes, and I'll just jump in at this point just to help also. It does also capture what you're doing up here, and it will add on anything that you've selected in addition to that $1.95 will also show up here, sort of like your shopping cart.
Right, so it's great to have that summarized as you go along.
Yes.
So then the next critical piece here, the little tiny checkbox there that says add glossary of terms or / cheat sheet. And in our experience, this cheat sheet, although it seems kind of like an afterthought down at the bottom and in small text, it turns out the cheat sheet is very critical to success here and keeping your working time at a minimum. The cheat sheet is for you to add the spellings of the company name, the college name, the department name, the people's names who are speaking in the video, the entities they refer to. If you have like the president of North Seattle College talking about Seattle Pathways 101, for instance, you would want to spell all that out in the cheat sheet. So folks, the people doing the transcription for 3Play don't know our college, and they really don't know what's a title and what might not be. And they might not know the correct spellings of people's names. We just had one video where we have a faculty member named Jim Jewell, Jewell, and he was listed as Jim Joel, Joel. So we had to go in and fix his name. And you will find that fixing all those names is what takes your time when you're trying to get this thing done. So it's better, if we're paying for this to be done, it's better for this cheat sheet to be used by the 3Play people, so that it gets done where it's being paid for, and it doesn't also take North Seattle College staff time to correct all the mistakes. So that's the importance of the cheat sheet. You know, you don't want to take 6 hours on a video that somebody else, you paid them to take 6 hours on. So, okay. So, and then as Rocky penciled in there, occasionally we get a case where they don't use the cheat sheet. We put one in, but they didn't use it. And so we always add in there, please use this cheat sheet. Just as kind of a little tongue-in-cheek bumping them to be sure to pay attention to that.
Yes.
And then you have, okay, go ahead. Tell them about how to get the cheat sheet in there, Rocky.
Yeah, so you can either manually type out what you have here. You could just do a copy paste if you've got everything saved in a Word doc, or you could click on choose file and upload it here. This just won't be an option unless, like, you have to have this field blank in order for this to show up. And
notice there it says 500 characters remaining. They're cheat sheets. They don't want them really long. We had, at first, we tried to put in really long cheat sheets with every name that we could possibly think of, and it wasn't going to work because we hit over 500 characters in the cheat sheet. So that's the other piece. You want to pick out the most important people that are repeated the most number of times to have their names in the cheat sheet, because they want to keep it to 500 characters, which isn't nearly enough.
Right. So at this point, you would hit next. At which point you arrive to some optional services.
We generally don't use those. We aren't paying at this time for our account doesn't have a subscription for audio description yet. And caption placement has to do with where on the screen the captions are going to be placed to run while the video is playing. And in general, you wouldn't, it's always going to be in the same place near the bottom of the screen. And unless you might have a file that has audio captions in it, you might want to put the captions of the real captions, the closed captions, somewhere else. But in general, you don't need to designate anything with this. So our normal process at this point has always been to just forward, kind of skip these options, and then we just go right through this one. Go right through. Yep. Now, here's the good part. We have a co-connected, or I guess in this case the terminology is a linked account, so that the working process is that you would upload your video to YouTube and then link to it here. So rather than upload it directly to 3Play yourself from your own hard drive, when you get to this point, you will have already uploaded your video to YouTube, and so you will be connecting through this interface to that preloaded video. And we'll explain that in a little bit, but for now, that's where you're going to access that, and go ahead and click that so you can see the files you're going to choose from your YouTube channel. And we'll tell you how to get to that YouTube channel a little bit later. So Rocky's there, and she's picking a video.
Yep, and select it, and then hit add file.
Then you would add the file.
And then you'll see it shown up here.
Very good. So then you know you have the right video. And you can create a separate folder for it if you are uploading videos for several different entities, like maybe Rocky does it for the president's office, and she might do it for, EWC or someone else as well, or I might too as the TLC. You can have subfolders so you can kind of keep them separated, because eventually there's going to be quite a few of them. And you may not want to fish through, and they may not be alphabetically named so that it's easy to find them.
And so if you just click on select existing folder here, it'll bring up any previous folders that you've created in 3Play. This is a President's Day video, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that and then hit next. And now we've arrived at the finalize order screen where you sort of get a confirmation before you actually submit it to 3Play. You can see the base amount of $195 plus the extra 50 cents per minute due to the fact that we ordered it expedited. And it'll give you your estimated cost here based on the duration of your video.
And there's a couple of shaded boxes there, and there is a little bit of a warning there that there can be a surcharge of $1 a minute if your video audio quality is really bad, like if you had a lot of interference or microphone feedback things that made it impossible to hear what people are saying. It goes beyond just being a couple of inaudible seconds. They will maybe charge you more. So we haven't ever had that happen. So we've kept our video quality as high as we could. So we haven't had to deal with that, but it is a possibility. And they have a minimum duration of how long the file can be, so that you have to order at least a 1-minute video. So no 30-second clips going in here.
Right, and then once you're done, you would just hit that submit button, and then after you've
But we should caveat here that you don't want to submit something that you're not going to caption. So we aren't going to do this hypothetically, because 3Play apparently, before we met them, had people uploading videos to their server, and then they didn't ever order the captioning, and their server filled up with videos that was not you know, they were not producing any income from, and they were just housing these videos for people, and they never did order the captions. So just before we met them, they had switched their process to where you go through and set up the order before you upload the video. So you can get all the way through, and that's how we're able to do this sample of how to do it, because we don't actually go all the way and submit. So
yes.
Yeah, you want to not do that, because if you put it up there, they're going to charge you for it. So it's just a done deal if you put it up there. So and it'll just come out of the amount we already have paid them. We have paid the amount up front, and they are deducting against that. So there's no way to say, oops, I didn't mean that. So don't do that.
Right. So assuming that we did mean to do that.
Right. Right. Maybe we better get off here now before we accidentally hit submit, huh?
Yes. So we'll just actually go back to my files here. That's sort of where you can see your whole history of everything. And, you know, had we actually hit the submit button, you would see it show up at the top of your list. That's where the newest item is going to show up. And it would also show you when it was created, your order. So it would show as of today at that time.
They are very good about summarizing everything, you know, as everything progresses. You know, it has the file ID, and it tells you how many flags you had, tells you how long the video is, and, you know, where it is in the process. It's very helpful interface, actually.
Right. So if you were to come back to this tomorrow and it was still in process, it would say that. It would say in process if you checked on it.
Right. Okay. Well, so I think our next step would be to go and take a look at the YouTube interface and talk about how you get a video onto YouTube so that it would be available for you to access it from 3Play.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny that, you know, almost every practice run we've had, we found ourselves talking about how you do this in 3Play, but then we have to stop and say, but first you should have gone into YouTube first. So we'll now get to the part where you should go to YouTube first.
Okay, so we're going to look at how to upload your video to YouTube. that you would like captioned. And the Captioning Task Force has actually created a shared YouTube account that happens to have several sub-accounts underneath it that are groups that have been identified through the Captioning Task Force, which I will show you once we get signed in here. And we all use our same sign-in, which is the NSC video channel at northseattle.edu. At that point, we just plug in our password.
Which is available on the Captioning Teams site and in Julius's SharePoint site about captioning for authorized users.
And these are some of those sub-accounts that we were just mentioning a minute ago. So I'm PIO, so I'm going to want to select that. We're also, another good thing to do is to just sort of make sure that that icon that we saw when we first logged in, this says P, so then I know I'm on PIO. It also says it over here on this side, your channel on the left. And that's just a good double check just to make sure you're in the right sub account.
Right.
And then we would go ahead and grab our video. And it may take some time. You would drop in your description here, talking a little bit about what the video is about.
And in contrast to 3Play, which we just talked about, you don't have to worry about uploading here because it doesn't cost us anything to upload it to YouTube. So we were cautioning folks not to hit the button unless you are sure you want to go forth with the captioning in YouTube, or I mean in 3Play. But here, it's a free upload.
Excellent point.
And you can always delete it too if you upload the wrong video or decide you don't need it to be captioned.
So I've just added my description and then selected no, it's not made for kids. Next.
I think we usually skip this part too. We don't have cards or an ending screen. It's not like we do a sales thing on this.
Okay, so we're just going to hit next again. And this is an important piece. If you're going to be wanting to share this video out with other members from campus, you're going to want to make sure you hit public.
Also, I'm told that 3Play cannot find it if it isn't public.
Yes.
I think it's mandatory that it be listed as public.
Yeah, so that's all the critical piece.
Said.
And we would just hit publish at that point. So down here it actually said it was still uploading, so that'll just take some time. Once it shows up here, then there may be a small lag in time for you to see this video show up when you go to actually order services through 3Play. So it may just be a matter of checking back once your video is completely uploaded here in YouTube. But at some point it should show up when you go to your 3Play account to order transcription and captioning. So today we're going to look at how to edit a transcript in 3Play. So we're just going to log in. And you've arrived at My Files, and that's where we see all our videos. And we're just going to click on the video, select it here, and that will open up this window where you're able to view the transcript. And if you'd like to edit it, you can click on this pencil that says edit. And one thing to point out is when you see these flags here, if you just click on this flag button, it will go ahead and show you your flags highlighted within the transcript so that you don't have to search for them, which is a nice feature. So if you just go through and edit what you need and hit save, so well, that's a good example. So if you click on it without hitting edit word, it'll start playing the video. So you just pause it, and then you select edit word, and you make the changes that you need. And then when you're done typing, you just hit edit word again, and it'll show in green. So then you know that it's captured your edit appropriately. And we're just going to continue on down, searching for anything in brackets that shows that it may have been inaudible, or anything that 3Play caught as a flag, so that you can see what you need changed. Oh, there's one. So sometimes you won't be able to tell because the audio cuts out on these Zoom calls.
Revisit and implement truths.
So that's another good example to look at, because if you can't fix it, then really you're just going to want to leave it as inaudible. So that's an example of one that you would want to keep. And then when you're all done, you would just hit Save Changes. And you'll get this green message that pops up here, changes saved. When you're done making edits, remember to finalize your file so that your caption files are updated. This is important. It's sort of like hitting the save button twice. So save changes and finalize. And once you hit finalize, you'll get this, success. And now you can X out of this. And so we're done with this portion. And then now, depending on where you've got marked or where you're trying to get the video to share it out with people, let's say it's in YouTube, for example, you would go to your YouTube. I am PIO, so I'll select that one. And then you just arrive at your videos in your YouTube account. Select your video. And what you would want to do is have one of the edits in mind that you know that you changed. You're going to come down here where it says CC and make sure that those are turned on so that you can actually see the captions displayed here. And you're going to want to check to make sure that one of the edits that you made while you were in 3Play actually shows up here in YouTube. And then once you've done that, you can hit the share button, grab your URL, and that would be ready to be shared out.